If you read the news, everyone's in a panic. It's like, oh my God, Amazon's over. Sell your stock, pack up the 10, Andy Jassy. Everything is done because they had a little bit of a lackluster Q3. I didn't see the same lackluster Q3 that everybody else did. But what's your take on this
No.
report of Amazon's premature death?
I kind of get the pullback on big tech in general. There's a lot of bad stories coming out of the world of big tech at Silicon Valley. But, for a company Amazon size to be growing at the rate they're growing, it's still kind of unprecedented in honestly human history. It's hard for me to look at it as anything other than kind of extraordinary, what they're doing. To me, for Amazon to be trading under $1 trillion market cap, which I think it is right now, there's still a few other, multi-trillion or $1 trillion+ companies. I think it's easily in that top tier, the top 3, 4, 5 brands, companies in the world. It's hard to time the market, but I think you probably in 5 years' time would not regret buying Amazon stock right now.
Right on.
That's what I would be doing.
Yeah, right on. I couldn't.
So I'm with you. I see nothing but strength.
Yeah, it's an outrageous amount of strength. It's like you said. I'm going to requote you. Unprecedented in human history is not an exaggeration. You hit the nail on the head. And our friend Joe Kazakianis at Marketplace Pulse, I think we both read this article, the Amazon COVID bump fades. If you look at the graphic, the trend line is like this. It's like 30%, 20% trend line growth. But COVID had this little bump and we're giving back some of that comp growth. One of the things that pisses me off, James, is when I listen to the analysts after the quarterly review calls. We got to do one. We got to do a quarterly earnings call because it drives me crazy because the analysts get on there and say, oh,
I'm into it.
If it wasn't for AWS, Amazon wouldn't make anything. They'd be so upside down. They're like a one-trick pony. They only talk about AWS, but Amazon is a service business now. I used to think that FBA was a loss leader for them, but I think they're making money on FBA fees now. And so if you look at that revenue, it stacks up right next to the AWS. And you look at the growth in that ad revenue, forget about it. Like we said, right? Jesse's got that ad revenue needle stuck in his arm and it ain't going anywhere.
It's almost comical that almost 30 years into this, that they still respond to the quarterly results like it's a company that cares about quarterly results, right? It just makes no sense. The other side, a way you could flip the entire last 2 years is to say that Amazon, I don't know the exact numbers, but they essentially built the country's largest last mile delivery network in 2 years.
Yeah. It was equivalent to the United States government in World War II didn't spend anywhere near that or hire nearly as many people. You're absolutely right. It is phenomenal.
No.
MBA programs are going to be talking about these case studies for the next 50 years, maybe 100.